Hello and good afternoon, everybody here in Vienna and everybody who are watching us online. My name is Jakob. I am an accessibility specialist. I'm coming from Estonia, and welcome to our little fireside chat. I want to tell you something. We are sitting in sort of couches or little chairs, and they are so cozy and comfortable. And by the way, you know what else are comfortable and cozy? Libraries. So we're going to talk about libraries today, and I'm thrilled to welcome to this fireside chat with me Verena. She's the Assistant Director of the National Library Board of Singapore. Hello, Verena.
Hello, and it's actually a good afternoon here in Vienna. So I'm Verena, and to all those who are here listening to us as well as at home or all over the world, I would like to believe. I am a lady in my 40s, and I'm a Chinese with bobbed hair, and I don't wear spectacles. Smiling at you right now.
Fantastic. We're going to talk about how the Punggol Library in Singapore has become incredibly accessible. We're going to dive into the details during our conversation, but could you get us started very briefly and tell us what is the library about and what have you done? What is the accessibility about?
So in Punggol Regional Library, I belong to an organization where we have 27 public libraries in Singapore, and they are peppered across the island. We're into building and always imagining what would be the next best library in Singapore. And we wanted to see what else do we need to go into, to break into. And one of the things we thought was really amiss in our library spaces was that people with disabilities unfortunately do not come to our space. So we do have the occasional wheelchair person, usually an elderly, but we don't see people with visual impairment, people who are blind, people who are deaf, as well as people with autism. They don't come in. So years back in 2016, I was given the very blessed opportunity to do this. They brought me in and said, Verena, we are going to build a library, and we are going to be welcoming people with disabilities into the library space.
Fantastic. So we're going to soon talk about what this library is all about, but I'm always interested about the people. And could you share us a little bit, what is your own background? How did you come connected with inclusivity and accessibility, and why are you interested in this topic?
Well, since my uni days, I've been always interested in community impact work. So I actually took a degree in social work and psychology back at home. Turns out that social work wasn't something that really suited me. So I went on and I found a job in the library space. I've reached out, done quite a number of work there. And that was in 2005. And 10 years later, I was given this job of designing Punggol Regional Library.
Excellent. So let's talk about the library. As you said, in 2016, the process began. What was it like? What was your point of start, and what goals did you set out to achieve?
So for a start, I didn't have any degree in this field at all. And there wasn't anybody in NLB that knew what to do with this assignment. So what I did was to hit the books. Of course, I've hit the books in the shelves, and I've also gone out to reach out to disability agencies to ask them, look, I have to do this. Where do I start? And every single one of them, no matter which organization, which person I approached, said, talk to the persons with disabilities. Hear them out, and see what needs to be done. And so that's what I did.
Right, the community reach is one of the very key points of your projects. Could you talk about a little bit like that? What has been working with a community like? How did you involve different people with disabilities in the process of creating the library?
We did what the term design thinking, right?
Yeah.
Get the people with disabilities come in to use our current spaces. So we brought them to our newest library back then in 2017, and we asked them, okay, use this space and tell us what's not working, what can be improved. And so we brought in people with visual impairment, people who are deaf, wheelchair users, cerebral palsy people, muscular dystrophy people, and people with autism, as well as their caregivers, professionals, all in to try out our spaces. And we heard from them about what they like to see improved. And from there, we've got a whole long list of things that we needed to work on. And that was in 2017-18. And along the way, I think COVID came as a blessing, really, because we then could really slow it down and to really look hard at every single item and every single aspect in the library to see how it works for or not for people. And so what we did was we created prototypes accordingly, wherever possible. So we had, so there was this period of time where it was a total lockdown and we couldn't interact with people, but the special schools were open. So what we did was we found one special school and we brought in our prototypes into that special school and we asked the teachers, could you let us come in like one person at one time to observe how the prototype is being used. And for us to do some findings and recordings and take it back and decide how it could be shaped further.
So maybe we should have started with this though, but what is a library anyway in this sense? It's not just collections of books and you can loan them. You can do so much more in a library. So in the context of your library, what can you do in there? What are the activities and how did you make them accessible?
Yes, it is important to say that because in the library world itself, actually in Singapore, we are doing quite a bit of things. It's way beyond books already. We are looking into how we can encourage people to learn in different forms and modes. So be it, to learn in a group context, to learn with your friends, to learn with a group of like-minded people. We have brought in people to come in with exciting programs for them to listen, just like what you are doing right now, listen and also hear about, what is there to learn in a specific topic. We have also got places where you could learn using your hands. So we have maker spaces and we have also little activities that children could also use and do and all in the effort of learning, all in the spirit of learning. So with Punggol Regional Library, there's quite a lot of things that we are offering there for everybody, for the general public, including persons with disabilities. And so what we wanted to do is, now let's try to design something and make sure that people with disabilities are able to do this together with everybody else. And if that is even possible, is something that you wanted to explore and try out?
Well, I mean, as you said in the beginning, you didn't have an expertise or a good background at this because, as we all know, there isn't when we talk about accessibility or inclusive design, it's a lot of working with people, right? And working with users. There isn't like making a library accessible 101 guidebook available. So what's in the process of creating the accessible library was maybe the easiest thing you found out, and when working with the whole array of topics, what was the hardest to achieve?
Thank you for that. I think the easiest was really asking for help. There were people in Singapore, people overseas. Whenever I opened my mouth to ask, the help just came from people from all over the place. And so really networking sessions are really useful because it really helps you to give that connection. And then after that, one fine day I need that help, I'll send a message and says, I need help. And help just magically arrives. I've so many times where my stars have aligned just like that because I've asked for help. So I'm very thankful for that. That was probably the easiest part of the work. The hardest was actually universal design. Yes.
How
so,
come?
So Zero Project, right? Zero barriers. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's really hard for me to get to that light at the end of the tunnel because really at every single thing that I was trying to do, I was trying to solve the needs of a particular disability, and yet, this doesn't really work for the other disability group, and so on. And I learned too that because I mean I had a time. I had to open the library by last year, right?
Right.
So I needed to get down to it and decide what needs to happen for the Punggol Regional Library. And if it doesn't work, I would need to fall back on my trained professionals in my library to make sure that the gaps are closed by reach out to the person with disability, or to reach out to even the general public who might be affected too by the change that I've implemented. So we need to actually close that gap. And universal design, yeah, I've learned it's not easy.
It very definitely isn't, and I'm sure a lot of people here know and feel that. That's why we're always constantly inventing. Let's talk about where we are today. What is the library right now? If you could maybe try to bring us to a typical day in the library, what's happening in there?
So it's located in a space where it's really quiet on weekdays and very super crowded on weekends. On our quieter weekdays, we see different groups of persons with disabilities, children, adults, all coming using our space, trying out our calm pods, which is a little room that's set aside for people with autism, and using our space, approaching us to ask for help, and staff will be interacting with them. We are, across our network, we are seeing more persons with disabilities compared to the rest of our libraries. We're seeing a whole lot more of them in our library space, so that's a good sign. But I think we need to do a lot more reaching out to those people who never really thought of the idea of actually coming to visit a library as an option. So we need to do a whole lot more reaching out there.
Do you have a future plans? What else will be coming to the library? What else do you want to do? What are your dreams?
So 27 public libraries. It doesn't stop at Punggol Regional Library. It will not stop at Punggol Regional Library. We are going to be looking into how we can roll out and make the rest of our public libraries more accessible for the disability community. And I think the exciting thing is also because it's what we're doing right now in our library space. Other organizations in Singapore are also taking notice, and they are reaching out to us to ask us about what is our journey like. And I'm very hopeful and very excited that it would probably see more spaces in Singapore being more accessible for the disability community.
Well, about the community, what do people actually say today when they come to the library? Are they happy? Do they demand for more? What is the vibe like?
I think most of them are actually very thankful. I have people traveling. Okay, Singapore is really small. Okay, so to travel from one place to another in 30 minutes, people will complain. So people do travel more than 30 minutes to come to my library space because we are the one space that they feel safe in and that they feel welcomed in. So it's been good for the people who have been coming for our library. Things are in good working shape and working order. And even though I'm now in Vienna, everything is running smoothly well in Punggol, back in Singapore.
Well, indeed. I mean, I already feel that I want to come over and visit. So you got us, at least me, more information though, because we have been able to cover just a very small bit of information. How can we learn more?
Yes, I'm a librarian. I do have lots of information to share. So you can get more information. I've got pictures for you, and it's in a Google Drive folder in my Zero Project profile. So you'll find a link there under my organization. And also you have more information on my LinkedIn profile too, under the featured section. So connect with me, and I'll be happy to share more.
Thank you so much, Verena, for joining us on this fireside chat without fire, I might say. At least I can see one. Yeah, thank you so much. Fantastic projects, fantastic achievements, and fantastic plans for the future. Let's all go to Singapore and visit the library. I have been Jakob ROSIN. Thank you for staying with us. Soon we will be talking about assistive technologies in this fireside chat. Thank you.